She Slayers, and welcome to a very special new episode of She Slays Today podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lauryn Brunclik.
And I'm your co-host, not Dr. Kirby Brunclik.
And it is our now tradition to end the year with like the final podcast of the year, technically, because I know we have the best of, but is a meaningless Christmas episode where you will likely learn nothing but feel a lot.
I mean, I think they could learn something if they haven't studied like story ideas and arcs and how people think of building structure and story through narrative.
You're planning on taking this episode a way different direction than your chat GPT gave you a completely different outline than mine.
I did not use ChatGPT for any of this.
Oh, me either. Okay, so today is our Christmas episode.
Mm-hmm.
If this brings you joy, I would recommend going and listening to our previous Christmas episodes. Let's see, we've done
Favorite Christmas movies.
favorite Christmas movies.
We did a Would You Rather. Was that a Christmas one?
Well, I don't know if it was like no, because I don't think it was a Christmas theme, would you rather? Because I distinctly remember a question that involved like fighting an orangutan in a car once a year or something like that.
Yeah, I do believe that.
And that does not seem to have a Christmas theme. So I don't think it was, but I do think it's around.
What if his name was like Rudolph or something?
I think it was around the end of the year, every year that we do this. So I think what it is around this time of year we're just like, I don't know. Does it feel right to have a serious conversation on like Christmas Sunday? Like it doesn't.
Well, and I don't know if anyone like for me, I wouldn't, I'll listen to like scientist episodes of Rogan or I'll listen to Huberman or whatever, but like I don't listen to them right around Christmas. So like if they have something silly, I'll do it. Or like some of my funny podcasts that I listen to will have either Christmas themes or best of episodes. Cause I think they realize like no one wants to like how to upgrade your patient intake,
Right. Yeah.
right at Christmas. You're not going to do anything with it right away. So
We could take this theme to like multiple months. So like it makes me think of spooky season. So if you are a chiropractor and have a ghost story or have murdered someone and have gotten away with it, reach
I
out.
actually do know a chiropractor who has committed a crime, but I don't know if you want her on.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Keep your mouth shut.
All right.
I don't know. I would actually okay, anyways. She did jail time for that, didn't she?
I believe so.
Yeah. Anyways. And it's not Jody Green who we had on. We just had her on too late because Jody was in November, I think.
I don't know if being arrested is necessarily like she didn't do anything wrong.
She
is the
brought
problem
a gun
there.
to Mexico.
But I mean, it wasn't like I'm gonna kill someone in
That's
Mexico.
I know.
Like I think you need someone spooky, and I'm a bad person for spooky because I don't watch scary movies and I don't really like spooky.
Okay. I am accepting applications for our October 2024 episodes. She Slays spooky season. Oh, we could like change the logo and like turn a pumpkin. Oh yeah. I
Speaking
could
of
just
themed things,
oh yeah, Christmas.
if you are ADHD lady, if you are just listening, I would encourage you to go check out the YouTube version of this because Lauren and I have themed backgrounds. I think mine wins. That is one thing I did use ChatGPT
Debatable.
for.
Debatable. I think I would actually like we're officially going to throw this up as a poll on Instagram of who has a better one. So
So I used ChatGPT's video or image creation thing, Dolly, for this, and I asked it for a cozy Christmas cabin or cozy Christmas bungalow on the ocean for you, and then for me, I asked for a cozy Christmas cabin, and then it gives you an image, and then I said I need more Christmas, and then it did that, and then I said like the most Christmas ever, and it gave me another one, and I said, "You're so close, but I need you to pull out all the stops for the most Christmassy Christmas cabin of all time, like the fiber of the universe is made of Christmas." And I think it did a pretty good job.
that's literally what the conversation you had with
Yeah. Do you not get those on your Instagram?
no.
There's great ones. They're like videos of like it's just like, "Give me a photorealistic image of an espresso dad." And it's just a dad making espresso in his kitchen with, like, kids in the background, and then it just goes, "More, give me more." And by the end, it's like a dad floating in the sky with children drinking espresso and, like, a big contraption with, like, 500 espresso nozzles shooting espresso out.
We have different algorithms.
I'm realizing that. I have that with my friends too. They'll send me things and I'll just be like, "We are looking at a different version of the internet than each other."
Yeah. Um, okay, we didn't super prepare. Like, it would be great if we would have, like, a listener highlight or anything like that.
It's Christmas time, babe. We can
It's
just talk about
Christmas, we
Christmas
don't
stuff.
do shit. Okay, so before we get into our actual topic, it's time for funny, embarrassing Brunswick story of the week.
Where are you going
Kirby,
with this one?
yeah, I think Kirby, would you like to share with the audience what you drunk bought on Monday night?
I mean, I wasn't that drunk,
No,
but
you weren't. You
okay.
weren't. I just don't know how else to explain your behavior.
So backstory. There is no snow in Wisconsin right now. It is
Yep.
one of maybe 3 or 4 Christmases I can think of in my life, my long 38 years, where there's no snow and, like, no snow on the forecast.
And it's December 20th. Like, we are
Yeah,
not ahead of schedule, people. We with this recording, like,
yeah.
life is happening.
So, and the girl we've been talking about as a family that the lack of snow is kind of like hurting for us to get into the Christmas season. The girls have both been talking about the lack of snow. Ty mixes in with our prayers every night. She also prays to Santa in addition to Jesus and asks for snow. And we have this big Christmas tree walk charity thing that's on the clinic front lawn that is less magical because there's no snow. So I started looking like, how can you make snow? And there's these cheap like machines that you can pour chemicals into and it makes fake snow. But
Cheap?
that's not what I'm
Oh, yeah.
like
Okay.
two
Yeah,
like
man.
200 $250 that make fake snow. It's like for snow at a party inside or whatever. But then I did find a company that makes they also make industrial snow machines for ski places, but they make a residential version that if you have an air compressor and a power washer and access to a hose, you can for the do you want me to say the price?
You might as well. Everyone's gonna look it up.
This includes the rush shipping, but for the low, low price of about $800, you can get this wand that will make, if the conditions are right, it still has to be below like 28 degrees, which it gets that cold every night here. It just gets too hot in the day. You can make, I think they said like on a 12 by 36-foot patch, it'll do over 2 inches in an hour.
Mhm.
So my plan, it's coming today. We'll post a video if we get
Oh
it.
god, we will post videos.
But I want to blanket the front lawn of the clinic in snow so that people have a more magical time on the Christmas tree walk. And I also want to give our girls snow for Christmas at our house.
The spirit of Christmas is very strong in you. I love it so much. So much. I
It's
can't
my
even
favorite
be
time of the year.
I can't even be mad because we've spent money on worse.
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
and honestly, my brain immediately went to like, okay, when will we be done using this on Christmas? I bet you I could rent this out on Christmas Day. I bet you we could make it back on Christmas Day. I'm not
Yeah.
going to because we have enough things happening right now, but like,
Well, I mean,
this could be a business.
there's 2 ways to think about it of people around enough people around here do own like pressure washers and air compressors. So like you could rent out the thing and just be
Mhm.
like, you go do it. But then there's the other market of people who are like, I don't have that stuff or I don't want to do this. And for a much higher fee, I could go do it for people.
Mhm. Yep. And
So it
I
would
think that's
definitely pay for itself in a day. If
well,
I did
I
2 lawns, I would charge $500
right.
each.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we have our 7th revenue stream. Although one of the reels I wanted to make for a long time is, me consistently coming up with businesses and Kirby just consistently reminding me, "That's not passive. That's not passive. That's not passive income. Lauren, that is not passive." Like, "But for $500" So, okay. Well, I don't think we have any updates. So I think we're just praying.
All right, let's do it. Deep breath. Be wherever you are. Dear God, thank you for this time of year. Thank you for the gift that was your son coming and being among us. Thank you for the family and the connection that we especially focus on this time of year and the reason to get together. Um, Thank you for this beautiful woman I share my life with. Help us to get through the stress, not take things too serious, slow down amid all the chaos, and just connect with you and those around us. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Okay, so speaking of be where you are, when you said that,
Hmm.
like this beach background, like,
Hmm.
would you ever be on a beach for Christmas then? Like you have
I would
like
I would prefer not to.
mhm.
I'm not
W-
saying never. Life happens.
one year you and I went to Mexico like very close after Christmas. I think it was probably like the 27th.
Yeah, how'd
And
that turn out?
that was I don't know if people are ready for that story of how Kirby almost got his foot amputated. Like
Yeah.
literally almost got we almost thought we were gonna amputate Kirby's foot, 6 to 9 months. It would have been August, 8 months
Yeah. Long
after.
story short, I fell on a cactus. It embedded in my foot and they thought I had a bone infection and
Yep.
had to have surgery to have it taken out.
But you
So,
didn't. But you
but
did
I
have
didn't.
you did have
I
cactus in your foot
there
8
there's
months
still
later.
cactus in my leg. I can feel
Uh-huh.
the bumps.
Anyways, but you did not enjoy the, Christmas season enough because you were focused on being in a swimsuit, like December
Yeah,
27th.
and we were, like, packing and doing all the logistics for, like, leaving the day after Christmas, and yeah, I wasn't a fan.
Okay. Well,
Never say never, though.
never say never. All right. So the theme that my chat GPT came up with
Sha-sha-pa-ta-pa.
for this is Christmas themed Christmas movie common tropes in Christmas movies. There we go. And the lessons that are we're supposed to learn from them, or basically why it's a common Christmas trope. So whether you
Oh,
like it,
yeah, I like that.
okay.
You wanna do, like, you go, I go, and
Yeah,
we, like
why don't you can go ahead and start because you prepared for this more than me.
well, yeah, I was just thinking through all the movies, but, I mean, one is the obvious, it's kind of the quintessential among many of the movies is the unrelenting Grinch who learns his lesson. So, like, literally the Grinch, Ebenezer Scrooge in all variations. Um, the Christmas with the Cranks dad could be that of like he's just over it and he
Mhm.
like doesn't want anything to do with the season.
Is
The
this
bir-
where, like, the overworking mom too?
yeah, I
Or is
think
that a
that could be.
different
I think that might be something different because they don't seem anti. Like, I think the element I was, keying in on was, like, the person who says, like, "I hate Christmas," like, actively, like the Burgermeister Meisterburger in, Santa Claus is Coming to
Mhm.
Town. The boss in National Lampoons, like, wants nothing to do with it. I would even say, like, the mailman in Klaus, like, the guy who takes the mail job, who, like, actively does not care about it and is like using the holiday to his own ends, but then like learns a lesson and then eventually comes to love Christmas. If I had to say a lesson beyond like once you accept or once you get past your own grumpiness, you can get into the magic of the season, I would say almost all these stories go into a background of trauma that has
Mm.
made them feel that way. So there's a lesson for like the general public of like seeing some
Holidays aren't
compassion.
always happy for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause I think every iteration of the Grinch shows some kind of trauma except the original. Like the
Well, that's
20-minute
like a
cartoon.
yeah.
Like that one doesn't, but every movie version has shown like the trauma related, Scrooge, they go back to his days in the boarding house or whatever,
Mhm.
where he's in the school. The Burgermeister Meisterburger tripped on a duck. So he's
You really did your research for this over the last 38 years of
and this is
of
weird. This is my least prepared because we've watched less Christmas movies this year than any other year,
yeah, because of no
weirdly
snow.
enough.
No
Yep.
snow. Um, okay, so, like, there's kind of I was gonna say because there's trauma. as a reason that people are not excited for the season. But I feel like there's also the pointing out of that, like, Christmas is being we're celebrating the wrong things. So there's almost like a hatred for the busyness, the stimulation, the consumerism. Because like the Dad and Christmas with the Cranks is more that. Just like we spend all this money, we do all these
Yeah.
things, and his isn't trauma, but like it is like he kind of comes across like that Grinch of just like this is too much and I am boycotting it.
Yeah, yeah, well, and I mean, I think that's the thing too with that one of they made, like, a financial decision, and then they have trouble sticking to it, so I can really relate
Oh,
to that guy of, like, "We're gonna buy a sauna, and that's gonna be our Christmas present to each other,"
yeah.
and then, hundreds of dollars of gifts that got added on top of that later.
Well, yeah, that is true. Yeah, we have learned that lesson twice now. So yep, that was gonna be Kirby and I. We were not gonna do any gifts for each other. And we don't spend as much as like if we would combine how much you and I spend on each other, we don't spend as much as the sauna was.
Oh, yeah,
But
no.
so like it was like a recognition of like, this is a big purchase. This is how we're gonna like justify it. And then we just went and bought presents anyways. We did that with the girls. I think one of the first years that we went to Mexico with them was just like, "All right, we're gonna do this experience, but, there's gonna
Or was it
be."
the year we took them to Disney and said, like, "But there's not gonna be as many presents," and then there were just
No,
as many
because
presents.
Disney was right after Thanksgiving, so there's no way I would have agreed to, like, a trip we took a month ago is gonna be why you don't have. Yeah, so there's that lesson that I think we've learned the lesson that we are bad at not doing the presents. Oh, I do ooh, this would be a good time for me to tell everybody about my genius Christmas card idea. Are you guys ready?
Okay.
I've
I'm
told
curious too. Wait,
Yeah,
you
you
start
know
talking
this.
and I'll remember.
So, this is a top secret thing. So, hopefully nobody who sends me a Christmas card is listening, although, like, Denise sends me one and Christy Wick sends me one. Okay. Our family only does Christmas cards every other year, and it's awesome. Okay, so here's why. So, Christmas cards, I mean, they've actually gotten cheaper, I feel like. There was, like, a peak where people were, like, paying for foil on the inside of cards were getting, like, 350 a piece. You were giving them to the person who checks you out at Target. So, they've recovered a little bit, but so they're a lot of work. They're just a lot of work. They're an extra thing. So we send out our Christmas cards and we get on everybody's list. They're like, "Oh, we got a card from the Brunslicks." And they like write down our address and they send us one. And then next year, they come to their list of addresses and they send us a Christmas card. But then we never come. So now the very detailed people, I think there are some people who have no idea, but I do believe that due to inflation of Christmas cards, there are people who keep track. And if they don't get a Christmas card from you, you're off the list. So, okay. So the year we don't send one, we're off the list. We're not sending the Brunswicks one next year. But then guess what happens? We come in with a Christmas card and they're like, "Ah, shit, I didn't send one." And so then they frantically send one to us. And then we like get these like late Christmas cards and we can tell, like, "Ha, you weren't going to send us one until you got ours." And then the next year we don't.
Ooh, you have a very transactional view of Christmas and human relationships.
I'm just trying to minimize the amount of stuff to do. It's just so much, but, like, I also really like getting Christmas cards, and I don't wanna stop getting Christmas cards, so this is my, like, meeting people halfway of, like, "I'll send you one every other year. If you wanna go every other year with me, you can, but please don't."
Yeah, you are something.
The whole thing is unwrapping Christmas tropes. We'll get to whatever trope I am. All right, my turn. So mine's less well, no, okay. So this is the idea of going from big town to small town. The like returning home is always in like a smaller, quaint town where they always have snow, by the way, but like
Mhm.
things move slower, you run into people from your past. There's
So
always
this is
this,
like
like, random
the
single guy.
Hallmark. Yeah.
No,
So it's
I
like the
feel I feel like I feel like that's a thing in bigger ones too, isn't it? I don't know.
it's, in the Cameron Diaz one. What's that one called?
Oh, well, The Holiday.
Yeah.
She goes to a smaller town, but there's really not returning to her past. And then not Renee Zellweger, Titanic lady.
Kate Winslet?
Yes, she goes to LA.
Mm.
So, like, it's not really. So I guess it is more of a Hallmark trope, but, like, it is definitely a strong theme of, like, going to your small town home. Like, it's almost, like, supposed to be this, like, step in. You're this like, you've made it and achieved, air quotes, "everything," but you realize you go home and, like, the one thing that you are missing is, like, the real important thing.
Mhm. It's a good
So,
lesson.
yeah, maybe for some people who send their Christmas cards every year.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a theme in almost all Christmas movies is, like, finding what's truly important. So, like, that's another route to get to it, you know?
Are you saying that my trope isn't trope enough?
No, no, I'm saying that's a super famous one. I think you're spot on with that. I think it's especially within a certain genre. I think Hallmark's probably made that movie 50 times.
Yeah.
So,
Alright.
I have not watched many of them though. And the ones I have, I can't, like, recall off the top of my head who are the characters, but
Yeah, there's not I mean, they're pretty predictable. It's kind of like there's a new one that was just on Netflix about well, they did it through, like, the lens of a gay guy coming home, and his mom's, like, hooked him up on a blind
oh,
date,
yeah, we
but,
watched
like
that one, yeah,
yeah, you came in halfway through. But,
yeah.
like, he brought the gay friend home with him who he'd never actually seen. You know, it's a little more of an she's all that, like, take off the glasses moment of, like, "You've been in front of me the entire time." Poor hot guy that they use in those as, like, bait is, like, still single and alone, but so, there's my trope. Your turn.
Oh man, which one do I wanna go with next? I'm gonna go with it's kind of the counter to the first one I mentioned. It is the Jolly Simpleton, who
Oh,
just
that's
loves
one of mine.
Christmas
Okay.
and, like, nothing can deter him. So, like, the nephew Fred, in A Christmas Carol, who, like, invites Scrooge to dinner.
Yes.
Like, and no matter what he says, how many times he hears "Good afternoon," he still keeps his Christmas spirit. I mean, Elf throughout the movie Elf is
Mhm.
kind of that of like the Christmas is in them no matter what, and nothing can do anything. The guy that Keenan Thompson plays in The
Yes.
Grinch,
I
the neighbor,
love him.
Grinchy.
Grinch.
Um, But I think it's a good character and it's, I like the lesson of it too of, like, if you truly have the spirit and, you know, I could get philosophical here and say, like, if you have God within you, if you have that, like, connection, not that you're always happy, but it's coming from in you and not from the reaction of others. So you can be in the holiday spirit regardless of if your uncle's a jerk or your neighbor's the Grinch or, you know, your dad's on the naughty list. It doesn't you can be sad for them, you can want to help them, but, like, the in-glowing love is in you.
So, I would never even attempt to be this person, but I would definitely say that this is something that you would idealize as, like, something that you would love to be for other people.
Mhm.
How do you feel like you do with that?
Um,
I mean, you did buy an $800 Christmas wand, but you're
um,
trying.
yeah, I don't, I think I do generally well with it. I think I am too, prone to ups and downs in, like, general mood, but I think that's what most of my, like, philosophy, religion, meditation, all that stuff is always seeking an equanimity of n that I think that's where my I differ is I'm seeking equanimity and not necessarily, like, bliss all the time, but if I can keep myself from going below a 5, then when I go to, like, 7 and 8, it's usually, like, a lot of joy, a lot of generosity, and just loving people.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes so are these people, these characters that we talked about, do you think
Mhm.
that they if they're at like an 8 or 9 for joy during December, Do you think they go into, like, a 1 or 2 on December 26th? Because I have seen on some years, like, you experience a lot of sadness on
Mm,
the
yeah.
night of Christmas, like, Christmas night, because it's, like, all over.
Yeah, Charlie and I go for our sad Christmas walk. We talk about how we're sad it's over and how we didn't appreciate it enough, and, we just want the magic back. Um, yeah, that's where it's tricky with I would say, I mean, because they're movie characters, it's really hard, and because, like
Because they're fictional, they probably don't go into the
well,
depression?
and because they're in all the stories, they're getting exactly what they want at Christmas, so it's almost like the beginning of a new joy versus, like, they don't know that it's gonna go downhill from here. The neighbor in Grinch now has a generous and connected Grinch. You know, Elf has his family, and Jovi and Fred finally got his uncle to come to dinner, so, like, now they're starting the rest of their life, you know, having this actual relationship. So it's difficult to compare with the characters when like they weren't starting with I have everything, everything is good. They just got something amazing as the story ends. So it'd be tricky to put myself in fully their shoes and go like maybe in like 5 years, you know, when like the Grinch is just an old buddy, you know, then maybe the neighbor guy is like, okay, Christmas is over. That makes me sad.
Mhm. So you would say that the lesson in these characters is, like, kind of the universal lesson to draw out the other 11 months of the year is, that joy is really dependent on yourself and to not seek on
Yeah.
others and around you. Okay. Okay, I like that. I'm realizing from yours that my chat GPT really like didn't give me good. So let's just go on with your third. What's your third?
Let's jump down to this one because it's only in a few, but it does show up, and I do think the first one impacts the other ones. It's the life would be better without me. So the most
Oh,
famous,
what
but then they
depressing shit are you watching?
but then they learn that it's not. They learn the impact of themselves. So the classic one is It's a Wonderful Life. Like,
Oh, okay.
and
Can
then
you
they
name
see
another one?
uh deep cut Shrek Forever After, the Shrek Christmas movie. He's really stressed. He wishes that, that
Okay,
he could just
you
be
had to
done with
like
it.
look that up.
And then Mickey's Twice Upon a Christmas, there's the one where Pluto's gone. And then he realizes like that how valuable Pluto is, and everyone goes to look for him because it's not a holiday
Oh,
without Pluto.
Olaf. Olaf.
Olaf too. Yes, I didn't even have that one down.
So as I was just
The,
mortified, like, oh my god, everyone's gonna know I am married to such a dork. I'm like, oh wait, Olaf is also.
the Olaf Christmas one where he's looking for traditions, and then he loses it all and then realize he's the tradition. So like there's that lesson of thinking you're unimportant or that you've messed everything up.
This is a
And
really
then
Enneagram 4 thing of like, and then you find joy that like you're the center of it. Like,
not that you're the center of it. I mean, in many of them, it's when you're gone, you realize the impact you have on all these people.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah,
So
no, it's definitely a trope. It's definitely a thing. But it is kind of selfish. It's kind of like and like or self-centered of just like, oh, now you're happy because you realized that everything you were needed. I don't know. I
you
don't
took
know.
the most cynical view of this. I think this is people who are just thinking they're trying to get by and that in the end, no matter what they can do isn't enough, and that it would be easier for everyone if they just weren't there because they're messing things up. And so I don't think it's necessarily selfish and going like the selfish thing would be like everyone's going to miss me when I'm gone. It's
Oh,
almost the reverse going like no one's going to miss me when I'm gone. And then they realize the impact in all the small things that they've done through their life.
okay. All right.
I think
Yeah,
it's the
it's not my
underappreciated.
favorite. It's not my
All
favorite.
right, all right, you do one.
If you try pulling an Olaf or a Pluto around Christmas, I think that's what it is like I'm just picturing you doing this and me
Oh
having to
god.
spend my Christmas morning with our girls, like super sad looking for you. I would
Yeah, because that sounds like me.
I'd be
Just
furious. Just like, "You
Leaving things to
motherfucker."
other people? No, that's not about to happen.
Um, okay, so let's see, I kinda have one. So there's the, like, overcoming differences, like, there's conflict. So this is the, like, fighting with the mother. All of mine are very Hallmark, I'm realizing, of
Mhm.
just, like, the fighting with the mom, or there's that, there's just the conflict, and then, like, at the end, you realize we really didn't have any differences. So I would say that on a more global scale, this is that most of the stuff that's in the news is petty shit. Most of the stuff, not all of it. And
Mhm.
most of the stuff that we fixate on a daily basis is really, really unimportant. And yeah, there's mine.
I'm trying to think of so, like, yes, it is very Hallmarky, but there is it's the enemies becoming friends thing. I forget, in Jingle All the
Well,
Way, did
like
they become
Home
friends at the
Alone.
end?
Like Home Alone is kind of the classic. So I don't know that I would say it's only Hallmark. Like,
Wait,
what's
do
what?
you think the robbers are Kevin's friend at the end? Or are you
No,
talking
I'm
about the
talking about
conflict
his
with his mom?
mom, with his mom.
I I saw
What
a
would you say the overarching trope is in Home Alone if it's not, like,
yeah,
"I don't
that's
want my
yeah,
family. Oh, actually, us fighting was stupid. We do want
yeah.
each."
Except you should fight with Uncle Frank because he's a jerk.
What the hell? And, like, punish Buzz.
Yeah,
Like,
people need to stop buying Buzz's shit
yeah,
and see him for who he really is. This
so
is fun.
best episode. Alright, your turn.
Um, all right. I have one that or it's like kind of two that are tied together. Either the too old believer is
Oh.
rewarded or the kind of young skeptic gets turned into a believer. So like they're both in one movie in the Christmas Chronicles. The little sister is the bordering on too old believer who then like is rewarded with like actually meeting and getting this entire experience. And her brother is like the becoming an adult too fast. Like all of this is bull. I don't want to decorate for Christmas. I don't want to hang out with anyone.
Mhm.
Um, the another too old believer is obviously Elf, but he's seen Santa, so I don't know if
Yeah, that
he's
doesn't count. That doesn't count.
um other skeptics that came to mind, Neil in the Santa Claus. I liked his we just watched it last night. The moment where he says, "Santa?"
Santa?
is so funny. The little girl in Miracle on 34th Street, like, she's
Mhm.
very, like, precocious and world-wise, and even though she's sick, she doesn't believe, and then eventually finds out, that she is meeting the real Santa. I would say Ryan Reynolds in Spirited
Oh,
kinda fits
spot.
this of, like, I understand the world, like, that movie plays with a lot of, like
I would say Ryan Reynolds is actually more the first trope of the Grinch
yeah. Yeah, I
because
mean, you can fit across
he had
Mhm.
trauma, like so I'm going to say this in a very, safe way. We should have, like, put a disclaimer on the beginning that this is a safe episode. I think that one of the reasons for that trope is, that it helps situations that parents might find themselves in.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, but I think the bigger message there. What do you think the bigger message besides like just like we're just gonna throw a bone out to the parents?
I think well, I mean, in all these movies, they do bring in all these other themes of family and connectedness and that, Christmas isn't just exactly how the nuts and bolts of how like Santa does things, but they always weave in underlying messages of forgiveness, family, generosity. Um, and so I think in those, there is the deeper core of like, if you are good and you and you really believe, let's substitute belief in Santa with like again, like connectedness to spirit. Like if you are truly good and you're holding on to that, don't let go Like, you will more likely, if you can hold on to that, you will help those around you. And if you're holding on to skepticism and, everything's crap and I know how the world really works, like,
Mhm.
are you truly happy? Like,
Mhm.
how's that going for you being quote unquote right in seeing the negativity of things? Like,
Yeah, and I feel like, especially since this took like a Christian turn type of thing, there's almost like this, I don't wanna be embarrassed or
mm,
wrong. Like, there's this defensiveness to, like, getting caught being, not vulnerable, but, like, childlike or,
mhm.
naive. Um, and so there's, like, this defensiveness to the ego of, like, I don't wanna get caught believing in something if it's not true, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, it's kind of I don't wanna speak for atheists or against atheists, but, like, that's a lot of the arguments I've heard of just, like, it's silly or, like, like, who would believe in fairy tale stuff? And it's like, I if that makes you happy and you're truly kind in your heart and you feel really, really good, then I am very glad for you. It's not my experience.
Okay, I have one. I have one. And our entire
Awesome.
family took this to an extreme the other day. It was really fun. I just want to say that like having an 11 and a half year old, 'cause she's almost 12, and she's a very 12. She's a very tween.
Yeah.
Um, but also she's like going on 45. But we played with the trope of the workaholic mom.
Oh,
And so
yeah, that
okay,
was a
so
fun
that was
conversation.
it's just a fun conversation. So that was my point in bringing her up is like that was like this joyous moment where she like was engaging and talking with us and we're laughing and just really getting
Yeah,
to
we
see
we
like
we almost had a outline to a screenplay by the end of that car ride because
yeah, and
we
then
were
we realized
just
Hallmark had made it a million times. But the idea was okay, so like the rules were we were going to a small town. We were going to my hometown,
yeah,
right? And I had like a deadline with work, which
sure.
ironically, like Ty literally asked me the other day in all serious, nothing to do with this trope storyline, like, are you gonna work on Christmas Eve and Christmas? And I was like, no, honey, I'm not. And she's like, okay, good. And I'm like, has mom been working a lot lately? And yeah, I'm like, oh fuck. But that's why it was funny, is like it wasn't that distance from our lives. But yep, so workaholic mom, she's getting bad reception, she's mid-project or, like, coming to a deadline, um, and she just has to be so inconvenienced to go home to Christmas. Now this was a funny thing, was that you were not allowed to play so as a dad, you were not allowed to have many lines.
Yeah, for some reason, Charlie decided that I was not a main character.
No,
I
not a
was
main
a
character.
very back what did she call me? Tertiary character, who had minimal
Was
lines and, like, basically just, like, in the background putting up the tree
Yep,
while, like
loading the car with presents, ki yeah. Mhm. Taking the kids so I could finish a phone call. And then we thought maybe we could get Ryan Reynolds since there was really only 2 lines to play that, and I was like, "Alright, well." But yeah, so oh, and then there was the moody tween, moody teen
Mhm.
tween, who really was, like, one of the main conflicts of the movie was, like, the mom-daughter thing, which, as I'm talking, is, like, kind of is a is a thing.
Yeah, moms and daughters, especially at that age, have to, like, find a way apart from each other and back together.
Yeah, and then the younger child who has, again, no lines, but is always in a
And no
screen.
name. We
No
decided
name,
no
yeah, that's right, we
name. It would
decided
just
no
be
name.
called iPad Child in the credits.
So what I mean, is that just supposed to be the, like, quintessential modern day family? Is that just what that our
Mm.
society has kind of come to?
Yeah, I think so in movies, they will always want to make it somewhat relatable,
Because they
but
definitely
then
do this with The Working Dad too. So, like, that is
yeah,
kind of elf, and so it's not always mom.
yeah, and I think with Hallmark, like, why they come across so cheesy is because one, they're making them fast, and two, they want them to be super simple to understand. So like
Miracle
they,
on 34th. Sorry.
yep,
She's
hardworking
hard.
mom,
Mhm.
yep. Um, that one I think does a better job because they do a little bit more character development. So like she's not just a hardworking mom. She cares very deeply for her daughter and tries to show that in different ways. She has different interactions with the Santa that like move her along. I
Mhm.
think what when people talk about Hallmark movies as being cheesy, it's because they take each of these characters and then they boil them down to like the essence of that and then let them only be that. So
Okay,
like
well, let's
that's
move away
where
from Hallmark then and just take the scenarios of like the overworking dad and Elf,
Mhm.
the overworking mom and Miracle 34th. Like, I mean, it's just kind of the like, you gotta slow down. That's the takeaway.
I think it's a challenge of, like, they've chosen the not to bring it back to religion, but, like, that's an easier frame to look at it through. They have fully chosen secularism and egoism and rejected spirituality
I bet
and
they don't send
magic.
out Christmas cards any year.
I mean, if they're maybe they do, but it's just for show. Like,
I
just to
bet you Monica would send out our Christmas cards every year.
"Oh, yeah." Well, I mean,
Next year.
wait, they have to be mailed.
You can like no, you can like pay.
Oh, I suppose pay to have them, like, shipped from some facility
Yes.
in America.
Yeah. You can like
Just
ship
all of
them
our
directly from Walmart or they're just all come from the Philippines.
that would be way funny. Cost a lot more, though.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You were saying.
So, when I was breaking down the entire ethos of ego versus spirituality and how this is a common theme throughout all time and maybe
Yeah,
all stories
I agree.
boil down to this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry I cut you off.
gotta oh boy. Anyway, you got any more?
Yeah, I might interrupt you if I think of one. I do really want to watch Miracle on 34th now.
Yeah, I do too. I, I know you like the new one, and
I
it's it
can you even call it a new one anymore?
oh god, no, it's from, like, 1992 or something like that. Alright, I think the last one I have written down is the unexpected/disrespected character turns hero. So
1994. It's
94? I said
Is it
92?
just
That's not
me
bad.
or like have we asked that question a lot lately and like all the best movies came out like 93 to 96. Like the film industry was nailing it during that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, they weren't just all superhero movies then, so
And we yeah. Okay, I
and
wasn't
there are
listening
favorite and
to
there
you.
are favorites because 'cause we're of that age, the
No, it's
movies you
because they
watch
were
when
the
you're
best.
Sure.
They were the best.
Um, I would put Spirited and Christmas Chronicles, up there
Okay,
with a lot of those
so
classics.
I was gonna ask, have I don't remember what your 5 movies were or my 5 movies were, but
I don't either.
do you think any of the, like I think Christmas Chronicles 2 had already come out, so but, like, Spirited had definitely not. Do you feel like there's any new ones?
I think Christmas Chronicles might have gotten onto my top 5 already.
Yeah, I thought so
I
too.
think Spirited might be in there too, of, like we've watched it twice this year,
Mhm.
and that's, like, at the detriment to we haven't watched some real classics.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
so I would
we, like, listened to the
the
soundtrack.
soundtrack,
You know
yeah.
what? A lot of people probably haven't watched this movie because it's on Apple TV.
Oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. It's
So
it's
if
worth
you
signing up for Apple TV.
Oh,
It's, like,
it's worth signing
$5 a
up.
month.
I would say it's one of my top 5 now. Um, I like it a lot. And it's got Will
Yeah.
Ferrell and Ryan Reynolds, and it's just, like, kind of a weird twist on A Christmas Story.
Yeah, it, like, turns it all around, kinda breaks the fourth wall, but I also think it updates it really well because, like, I was thinking about that when we went to the play, The Christmas Carol, of Scrooge's, like, only focus is money, and that's not and at the time, like, that was truly, like, the currency of the realm, but now if you just said, like, someone just wants money, like, it doesn't ring as true because there's ways
People
to, like,
can't see themselves in Scrooge because 'cause they're like, "Well, I don't care just about money."
yeah, because we already have all the comforts and more money, like, yeah, there is the focus dad and elf or whatever who just wants more money or whatever, but it doesn't ring as true and it doesn't teach the lesson of them, and now, like, the currency of the realm is attention, and you can see how everyone
Mm.
wants attention and they want, to be more influential. So like the him being like the person who is just always seeking how to guide people's attention for his own gain is like truly the modern version of Scrooge.
Mhm. Also, I learned that well, nobody's gonna get this if they haven't seen it, but there's a song in there that I thought was real catchy, where "Good afternoon" was an old, like, nasty thing to say to people, and when we went to the Christmas Carol, it was kinda like my, Amazing Grace realization of just like, "Oh, that's why they wrote that song in Spirited, is because he says good afternoon in A Christmas Carol," and my entire family, including our 9-year-old, just looks at me as like, "Duh, you didn't get that?" And I was like, "No, no," and I think that's when you said, like, "What is life like through your eyes?"
It must be fun to be surprised all the time.
Oh, it really is. There are so many times in movies that, like, I'm just like, "I have no idea what's gonna happen." This will happen in, like, uh, historical fiction as well. Historical fiction. I'm just like, "I have no idea what's gonna happen."
Well, let's go watch Napoleon, and I wanna see what
I
your
have no
reaction
idea.
is.
I have no idea. None.
I
I
love you.
I I skipped the 3rd grade.
I don't think
Alright.
that's when they teach you about Napoleon.
No, it's when they teach you everything I don't know in life is the 3rd grade. So, alright. You got anything else magical that
I don't think I do. I think those were my big hits for this. I hope we did a good job. I wanna hear what other
wow.
people have to say, so message Lauren on Instagram.
I
Tell us
hope
what we
that they
missed.
can you hear Maggie having a bad dream right now or a good dream? I don't know what but poor little Maggie's next to me having a little dream.
Oh, yeah,
Hey,
I just heard her squeak.
Maggie, hey, it's okay, baby. It's okay. You're chasing the cat. Yeah, so I think you should say some nice parting words on the podcast and like kind of in departure because this is the last episode of 2023.
Well, I wanna thank everyone for listening. First off, for another year. It's crazy that we started this, what, 4.5 years ago now?
Uh-huh.
3.5 years ago?
Well, we're at
And I
episode like 245.
Yeah. Yeah, so, um, it's been an amazing adventure, and the people that you've gotten to meet, we've gotten to meet, through this and the connections and, it leading to the multi-passionate chiropreneur and the amazing people that we've gotten to meet through that and the lives changed. I could never have predicted this. If it was a movie, it would be, like, almost too cheesy to buy that, like, we just set out on this little task that we thought was gonna be a hobby, and, now it's such a big part of our lives and such a big part of a lot of people's lives. So
Mhm. Yeah,
so
that is
thank you
crazy.
everyone for listening and all the people who have interacted with us on this journey.
Oh, thank you for saying the vulnerable, nice things. I do that to Kirby all the time. I'll do it in the middle of a team meeting or something, or at the end of a team meeting. I'll be like, Kirby, you want to say some words? Say what is in my heart, Kirby. Please just say the nice things to the people. No, and I don't know. I know that I don't know how to say this, but like I don't want to keep having the same conversations with the same people that other podcasts are having. And so like in 2024, I want to have great conversations and if they happen to be with people that are on every other Cairo podcast, that's fine, but I want to have a different conversation with them. Um I'm just not looking to continue having on like, "Oh, tell me your secrets to success in your chiropractic clinic," and like the, "I've figured it all out," and so I just hope for a continuation of unique, vulnerable conversations,
Mhm.
and if it is like industry bests, just sharing vulnerability, and because I think that like, there's plenty of certainty. Let's just say there's plenty of
Mhm.
certain guests, um and I just want to continue for our audience to be able to see themselves in me and see themselves in the guests and just become, I don't know, more okay with exactly their journey and what they
Mhm.
are and becoming. And so I think continuing to parade like this is the best of, and this is their path, and if you do it, you can be just like them is just like I don't really want to be here for that. That sounds terrible.
Well, I mean, and those things are great, but there are also a lot of that already out there.
Yeah,
So you
we'll
can
continue
find
to
that
be
if that's
weird.
what you need. Yeah.
We'll continue to be weird. That's the plan. Maybe we'll get.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get weirder. I want to get even weirder.
Have me on more. We can
Oh
go there.
no, you're too weird. No. All right, She Slayers, thank you for being with us during this holiday season and this year. We appreciate you more than you know. Next week is an exciting, it is kind of I think one of the best episodes. So it's going to be part one of Best of. It's always so difficult to pick those. But make sure you listen. Those are great episodes to share because it's like a little teaser for people who don't listen to the episode. So please make sure a Christmas gift for me would be to rate. You can rate on Spotify. You can do that. That is a thing now that they allow. And just keep on keeping on. Thank you for being a listener and bring on 2024. In your name we pray. Until next week, She Slayers. Bye.
Bye.